compared to last season's Champions League when they made it all the way through. They were in the run for the Scudetto as well. They still obviously have the Scudetto now this season, but they lost in a bad way in the final to PSG, but they had an incredible run this season.
I mean, I think embarrassment is a bit of a too strong word. I think that we look too much at the reputation in the fact it's Italian champions. They still had an opportunity going to home in the second leg to turn it around. A Bodø Glimt side who people would say are a small club, they shouldn't really be in this competition. And Inter, with the money that they spent, the players that they have, should get the job done at home. But again, we talk about, you look at the body of work Bodø Glimt did beforehand, you got to say that they are a good club. They're a club that you should take seriously. If you take them as Menno's a smaller club, you will be punished. They did it to the Manchester City.
Everyone's doing their brackets at the beginning of the season.
I mean, you the
wouldn't
biggest
look at Inter and say, even on our Serie coverage, everybody sat here and said it's a really favourable tie.
It is a favourable tie, but I went the opposite way because I just go on what I see and what I've seen. I would say that for me, again, we're looking too much on reputation than actually the body of work.
We're going off what Inter have done. Last season, Champions League finalists.
Yep.
This year, 10 points clear. Still on for a treble again. Where's it not an embarrassment? To spending what you said to where they're at.
Yeah.
It is an embarrassment because I don't think any fan went there going, I hope we can win today. It was how many are we going to win by? And that was the point, is whether they could score enough goals. And when you watch the game, and to your point, when you watch Bodø Glimt, you would say, no, actually, hold on, this is going to be a lot more difficult than it is. But to the people that are on the outside, top of the Serie, 10 points clear. You're in the Champions League, which you got to the final last year. They would argue there's more firepower this year than there was last year. And then you went out. You didn't just go out. You got beat. You got beat handsomely.
You got beat handsomely. You got beat comfortably. Yes.
And again, so that's why I use the word embarrassment 100%.
For that. 100%. I think for the hardcore football fans who know Inter and the reputation, everything you brought there, yes, they would say it's an embarrassment. For me, from what I've seen and from how Bodø have played, I would say for me, Bodø deserved it because they played great football. Inter probably went there a bit too arrogant. I remember the first leg when we were talking about it as well, and I questioned the team selection in that first leg. I think Cherby started, and I was thinking to myself, you've seen what Bodø done to Manchester City at home when they made a few changes and they didn't go for their strongest starting lineup and they embarrassed Manchester City and got the result. Why would you do that? We've seen already what's happened to other teams. And then today, Kivu picks his youngest ever team to represent Inter because you want to match the energy, you want to match the pace. But by that time, it's too late. So for me, it's going to be seen as an embarrassment to some people.
Would you have said it was too late? Because a lot of Italian fans would have said, OK, yes, we're 2 goals down, but we're at San Siro, and of all the Italian teams, this is the tie they can see overturning.
That's Italian fans who don't watch or don't know a lot about Bodø Glimt. That's the thing, because Bodø Glimt still, you really have to follow them, and we've had the pleasure to follow them and know what they are, because these fans will be just so fascinated with Italian football, with Inter, and what they've done, and thinking, oh, this is a small Norwegian side. It's not Rosenborg or one of these other teams. So they would have gone in there with an arrogant manner to say, oh, they'll get the job done. Because remember, we watched the Bodø Glimt side go to Roma and get through in the Europa League, beating Lazio, going through Lazio in penalties away from home. So we've seen them do that to a lot of Italian side, and I think there's an arrogant element to it.
So the question I want to ask you then, take Bodø and what you know about Bodø, put that to one side for a second. What did you see in this Inter team tonight that suggests to you next season they could go again in the Champions League? That actually they could get the Scudetto race done and dusted? Because if it's me now, and obviously you guys are going to the derby with Milan soon, Milan must be looking at it going, OK, we're not in a great moment, but they're going to be questioning themselves now. Do we win a game and they start to go, oh, it's only 7 points. We've had this situation happen before. Just look at it from an Inter perspective. They didn't create many chances today. It was DeMarco, one of it, kept going out to him, cross after cross after cross after cross.
Esposito had a header in the first half.
But that was it. There was no patterns of play. There was no little slip balls. Nothing, really.
Have you been crying?
It looks like you've been
crying. Yeah, you look like you've been crying. What happened?
It's sweat, I swear. It's not the tears. The tears happened before. I already wiped them away.
Marco, hang on a second. I'm hearing, just because we're going to get to a lot of negatives, unfortunately, with you. But before we do so, let's have a look at your night at San Siro, shall we?
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
how good
look at that.
Is that?
This is crazy.
The greatest number 9.
R9.
Ever to play the game.
Hey, to be honest, you combine all of the goals that those 3 guys scored in their entire career, and they're only 100 goals short of you, Troy.
That's my footballing hero in R9. So that was great. And also Christian Vieri there, Del Piero. I actually texted Marco and I said, I don't normally give Marco credit, and I'm about to two-foot him as we get into this. But for right now, well done to you, mate, for all the great work you've done to be in that situation, and not only be in that situation to hold your own, but you deserve it, mate. So well done to you. Very, very jealous that you got to see those legends. But now let's talk about your Italian team and how they were defending. Let's go. The defending was great tonight, wasn't it?
Oh, it was absolutely terrible. It was terrible. First of all, Troy, you giving me a compliment feels so weird. I think we need to go back to making fun of each other. I might have preferred it before. It's incredible to me because before the match, Alessandro and I were talking. We previewed the game, and it went almost how you would expect in terms of the game plan, right, of what Bodø was going to do. They were going to sit in. They were going to wait for their moment. Inter was so frustrated and not being able to score. You could just feel that mistake was going to come, and you have to give so much credit to this Bodø team. I think they were hitting this wall that's right next to me, and it's infectious to believe in this story, to see their mentality as well. They come to San Siro. They're not scared. They're going to keep playing their style of football. They also had a chip on their shoulder because everyone kept talking about the pitch. Oh, yeah, they won because of synthetic pitch, because it was the cold. They showed tonight. They made history. Holger was on air. He said it's the best night of his life, and I think there might be more to come.
I know, the story continues for them. Marco, I wish that we could have seen a live cam of you and Alessandro Del Piero watching this game. What was it like for you both? I mean, especially after it started to not go your way.
There's a lot of me covering my mouth and cursing under my breath for how this team was defending and their inability to score. The one thing, Papi, just to set a scene, when we were going around Milan today, every Inter fan we met, and even as the goals kept coming in from Bodø and they were winning the game, every Inter fan said, yeah, but is our focus on the Scudetto? Does this group just care about that? How much are they going to push on in the Champions League, having just come off the final? And many players within the group were asked Champions League or Scudetto, and a lot of them did say the Scudetto. And I think it's going to be hard to justify what happened tonight as well. Yes, they will probably go on to win the title because they have 10 points clear. But to me, it's a huge disappointment for a team that just went to the final to go out, especially in the manner that they went out, just falling into the trap. And there's, again, no more excuse of, yes, we played away. They got it handed to them tonight in San Siro.
Marco, sitting there and being there live, you're lucky you're not here because you'd be getting it from me even worse than Troy. I would have two-footed you out of the studio. But
I believe it.
He probably doesn't even know Grella didn't show up today.
He doesn't know he's over Italian. Yeah, Grella didn't show up today, Marco, just so you know. Mr. Ironman wasn't here on purpose, knowing that this was going to happen. So all the Italians are running away. Just a quick one. What was the atmosphere like in the stadium? Because watching the game, I could get a sense that this was going to be Bodø's night. How did the Inter fans in the stadium, how were they acting with the atmosphere that you felt?
No, it was incredibly intense. There was a feeling early on with the way that the team was being pushed by the fans that they were going to be coming back. And even at halftime, we said, okay, just one goal. It's only going to take one moment. That was a feeling. But then once Bodø scored that goal, it was like the balloon was popped and the air fell out of this team, and then they scored the second. And all of those narratives that were going on before the match, like I was mentioning about, are they just focused on the Scudetto? Are they trying to go further on in the Champions League? They just started to heighten, and there was so much frustration after the second goal when Bodø scored right in front of where I was. There was all the Inter fans. And it's a feeling that there's just a wasted opportunity. We know Italian football, it's a struggle. We said coming into this, Inter would be the best one of the Italians to go as far as possible. The fact that they go out in this playoff run is something no one could have expected, and they're not happy about it.
Marco, just two real quick ones. One from me, one from Nico, because we've got to get off. I want to know where this leaves this Inter team. Not only Italian football, we could talk more about that at a later date.
When Juve goes out to Galatasaray tomorrow.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, exactly. But just with this Inter side, right? In the last year, they were looking at a treble around this time. Now the Scudetto race is the big focus. Is there a mentality question that is fairly asked now if they start to lose? If they lose a derby, which you guys are going to, is there a mentality question that we can fairly ask now, or not allowed or not?
It's actually the thing I was just saying to Alessandro. I said up here is where they lost it. And, whether it was last year that it was the last dance of the group that they wanted to try to push forward on, because a lot of the group is the same. Yes, they have a couple of younger players that are within the group that have helped them a little bit? I absolutely think so. I absolutely believe, especially with the rotations that he played in the first game, you can't use the excuse of not having Dumfries. It's way more than that. I think even in Italian football, it could be the bigger conversation. This is not the moment that they could argue about finances, because it is an argument that, Grella Bonetti and I always make. We say, yeah, but the Premier League, they have so much money. We showed the weekly wages on Morning Footy of what they were. It was Bodø's 183,000 weekly wages. Inter's was 3 million. So that excuse can't be used any longer. It's a matter of mentality. I would agree with you, Troy.
Marco, I want to switch the topic and talk about Bodø, because one of the more incredible things, when I asked them last week, when they had just beaten Inter, what they thought about the game, the manager, Kjetil Knutsen, the first thing he said was, I'm not happy with the performance. And personally, to me, it's not something that I can relate to, because you beat Inter in the Champions League. I can't believe that their mind was still there. Now that they've defeated Inter and gone through to the round of 16, what was the feeling and the energy with the Bodø team? Is it still the same?
100%. There was even a moment on just being upset over the details, on not passing the extra ball to make sure that the ball could go into the back of the net. By the way, for the rest of the crew that's there, I received like a 4-minute voice note from Nico talking about this before the match, and it absolutely played out exactly how he said on the style, and they believe in their process. And I think it is something that the rest of the teams in Europe will start to look at. Como in Italy are a team that follow that process, and oftentimes they're joked on, but you don't get the results. Now they are getting those results. And the fact that we heard that reiterated from coach to players shows that, maybe they're going to go play Manchester City. Of course, they're better than them. But they're going to believe that if they play their style of football, which was very organized, very compact, fighting for every ball, and then waiting for their opportunity, I think that process is working. And it's starting to pay dividends in the Champions League, which is just unbelievable for us to witness. Remember covering them in the Conference League, and now to see them here today, it's magic.